Hello, everyone. I'm Jason, and I'll be leading today's Hoover Dam tour. It's a pleasure to meet you all. We'll be visiting the Hoover Dam today. Hoover Dam is considered one of the 7 modern civil engineering wonders of the United States. Today, we will explore why it was a significant structure during the era of Western expansion. All right, take a look straight ahead. That's Hoover Dam. That concrete wall in front of you stands 221 meters tall. For reference, that's close to the height of a 60-story building, holding back an entire canyon. The river running through here is the Colorado River. It starts in the Rocky Mountains, carves out the Grand Canyon, passes through this Black Canyon, and empties into the Gulf of California, over 2,250 kilometers long. When it flooded, it could swallow a whole town in hours. Taming this river was one of the biggest engineering challenges of the early 20th century American West. Now, let's go back in time and examine the historical, economic, and social context that led to the construction of the Hoover Dam. In the 1920s, the American West was growing rapidly, but the Colorado River was unprecedented droughts that hindered development. The solution was a massive dam, which would also provide jobs during the Great Depression. Here's something interesting. This project was approved in June 1929. Just 4 months later, the New York stock market crashed. Stocks crash again. The news spreads panic. Crowds rush the banks, desperate to save their savings. Fortunes vanish. Lives are upended. The Great Depression grips the nation. The Great Depression hit. Terrible timing on paper, but it turned into a completely different story. It created jobs for thousands and gave a nation hope. From crisis, we built a monument to the future. Unemployment climbed to nearly 25%, and people who'd lost their jobs all over the country started pouring into this Nevada desert. Las Vegas was a town of barely 5,000 people back then. It was suddenly overwhelmed. People who couldn't find housing pitched tents all over town. So this dam wasn't just about controlling a river. For people wiped out by the Depression, it became a source of jobs and last hope. At peak, about 21,000 people worked on this site. Officially, 122 workers died during construction. Unofficially, however, it is a structure built at the cost of more than 1,000 migrant workers' lives. Take a look down here. Makes you a little dizzy, right? Back in 1931, there were men hanging off that cliff face on a single rope. They were called high scalers, specialists who chipped away rock until solid bedrock was exposed, ready for concrete. Safety harnesses by today's standards barely existed. Before the construction of the Hoover Dam, there were no safety regulations. Consequently, many workers toiled without safety gear or had to purchase whatever equipment they could find at their own expense. The most urgent job was diverting the river's flow through tunnels so the dam itself could be built. They had to finish before the winter of 1932, before snowmelt from the Rockies swelled the river again. They worked around the clock in tunnels short on oxygen and full of carbon monoxide. Now, let's take a look at the architectural specifications of Hoover Dam. I'd like to call upon our chief engineer, Frank Crow, for assistance. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. I will take it over here for numbers and measurements. Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Crow, and I am Chief Engineer of Hoover Dam. The 6 companies involved in the Hoover Dam project appointed me as Chief Engineer to address the challenges of the harsh Las Vegas desert climate, where temperatures soared to 48 degrees Celsius, and to meet the goal of shortening the construction period. The total construction cost was $165 million. Which was the highest amount for a building project in the United States at the time. A fine of $3,000 per day was imposed for any breach of contract. Hoover Dam's construction was a feat of engineering. It required 4.4 million cubic yards of concrete and 45 million pounds of reinforcing steel, plus 88 million for steel pipes and plates. Excavation moved over 5.5 million cubic yards of rock. Hoover Dam, my vision, a structure of unprecedented scale. standing 221 meters tall, 411 meters long. At its base, 200 meters thick, it used 3.4 million cubic meters of concrete. It created Lake Mead, 185 kilometers long. Lake Mead, boasting a vast area, is the largest artificial lake in the United States. Formed by the Hoover Dam in the 1930s, it lies on the Nevada-Arizona border. It's a key tourist destination near Las Vegas and a lifeline for the western region. In the autumn of 1931, an unit downpour the cleared riverbed back into a muddy mess. And in February of the following year, melted snow flooded the tunnel. Nevertheless, the tunnel itself held on safely. Afterward, over 5,000 people carried the material to Conan workers using an aerial cable system. And that's pretty much all the numbers and measurements, Jason. At last, Hoover Dam is not just structure. What is it then, Chief? It's built on the base of Americans' blood, sweat, and tears. Hoover Dam isn't just a place you might consider visiting. It is the site where the magnificent history of the American West began. Thank you, Frank. The dam was initially called the Boulder Dam, but was renamed the Hoover Dam in 1947 in honor of Herbert Hoover. Designated as a National Historical Tourism Site in 1981, and as a National Historic Site in 1985. It remains a landmark representing the West to this day. Are we ready to visit the most iconic construction site in American history with me? Well, I am Jason, and I will gladly be your tour guide. See you then.